it's Precious Pioneer and welcome back to my YouTube channel, the channel where we talk about food and lifestyle. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I have new videos every Friday and Sunday, so if that interests you, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button below. That really helps to support me and the creation of these videos. But without further ado, today we're making a garlic and herb and rosemary focaccia, and I'm super excited about this recipe because it's actually incredibly easy to make. You will need yeast, and this recipe could take up to 12 hours to 24 hours, depending on how long you want those flavors to soak into your bread dough, I suppose. So with bread, it's actually really easy, and there's things like quick bread that can only take a couple of hours, which is fine, but if you want those flavors to marinate and bloom throughout your entire dough, then it's definitely recommended to put your dough into the refrigerator, and as it's cooling, it'll rise super slowly and giving it time to let those flavors grow and develop. But without further ado, let's jump into the kitchen and get baking. Some ingredients you're going to need to get started for this recipe include 2 cups of warm water between 100 and 110 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 to 43 degrees Celsius. You're also going to need 2 teaspoons of granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons of instant or active dry yeast. You're going to need 1/4 cup of extra virgin olive oil. I used a little bit extra as needed. And then you're going to need 1 tablespoon of kosher salt, and then 4 to 5 cups of all-purpose flour or bread flour. For my recipe, I used half all-purpose flour and half wheat flour. I warmed my water by heating it up in the microwave for 45 seconds, but I definitely recommend using a thermometer. If your water is too hot, it will kill your yeast, and if it is too cold, your yeast won't bloom. So you need that perfect in-between warm water temperature. To begin preparing your dough, you're going to whisk half of the water, which is 1 cup, 2 teaspoons of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of yeast together in your bowl, or you could use a stand mixer fitted with a dough hook or a paddle attachment. Afterward, you're going to cover and allow to rest for 5 minutes. Allowing your yeast to rest for 5 minutes gives it the opportunity to bloom. Here you can kind of see the yeast residue on the bottom of the bowl. I'm trying to show you as it starts to bloom, but I was moving the bowl a little bit too much. But as it blooms, it'll foam up and thicken at the top, and then it'll give it the water will change into a milky white texture, and then you'll see that, you can kind of see it lifting here, and then that's the end result, a clear, thick, milky texture. Your yeast is awake and ready to go. The next step is to add the remaining water, olive oil, salt, and 1 cup of flour, and mix just to combine. Is just where I alternated between wheat flour and all-purpose flour, half a cup each. Once well combined, now it's time to add 3½ cups of flour. You might need a little bit more depending on the texture of your dough, and also if you're using a stand mixer, there are different procedures that you can use as well. You can definitely use your dough hook and continue mixing at a low speed for about 2 minutes, and then once it thickens up, it's time to dump it out onto the counter on a lightly floured surface and begin the kneading process. With lightly floured hands, you're going to want to knead the dough for about 3 to 4 minutes. The dough can be a little bit too heavy for your mixer, but you can certainly mix it on a very, very low speed if necessary. Also, if your dough is too sticky as you need, go ahead and add flour 1 tablespoon at a time. The dough may feel a little bit soft, but shouldn't stick to your hands. You can poke it with your fingers, and if it starts to bounce back, then your dough is ready to rise. If not, keep kneading. Once you feel like your dough is ready, it's time to let it rise. Lightly grease a large bowl with a teaspoon of oil or some nonstick spray. Just use the same bowl as you used for your dough. Place the dough in the bowl, turning it to coat all sides in the oil. Cover the bowl with aluminum foil, plastic wrap, or a clean kitchen towel. Allow the dough to rise at room temperature for 2 to 3 hours or until double in size. I usually like to set mine on the windowsill. The key is a warm environment for a happy yeast. Next, you're going to prepare your pan. Generously grease a 12 by 17 inch baking pan or a pan with at least 1 inch tall sides with 2 tablespoons of olive oil. This is the base layer of the bread, so be generous with the oil. Next, you're going to flatten the dough. When the dough is ready, punch it down to release any air bubbles. Place on the oiled baking pan, then stretch and flatten the dough to fit the pan. Don't tear the dough. If it is shrinking, mine typically does, but for this one it turned out pretty great. Cover it with a clean towel and let it rest for 5 to 10 minutes before continuing. This lets the gluten settle and is much easier to shape after that. Now we're going to let the dough rest. Cover the dough tightly and let it rest in the refrigerator for at least 1 hour and up to 24 hours. The longer it rests, the better the flavor. Hi guys, it's day 2, so I'm gonna go ahead and check on the dough. Ooh, she a little thick, but that's what it looks like. So it says that I need to just let it rest on the counter while the oven preheats, and it may rise a little bit, but not a whole lot. Anyway, okay, so I'm just gonna let it rest on the counter and prep the top ingredients. So I think I wanted to put rosemary, I think I have some thyme in there, garlic, tomatoes. It's just gonna be a really great loaf here, so let's get into it. I went ahead and preheated the oven to 450 degrees. This is my favorite part. You can interchange any of your favorite herbs and spices to put in this topping, but I went ahead and used thyme, rosemary, garlic, and freshly ground black pepper. Oh, and grated Parmesan. How could I forget? The cheese, of course, the cheese. Oh, the fresh smell of black pepper just smells so nice. Wow, doesn't that look so delicious? Go ahead and hit a thumbs up if you agree. The next step is to dimple the dough with your fingers all over the top, just like so, and then cover it with your favorite topping. Just make sure that your topping has enough olive oil because it helps create that crunchy crust that we all love in bread. Oh my gosh, are you guys seeing this? It looks so good. Oh my gosh, here, okay. Okay, the only thing you need left is a little bit of salt. You just sprinkle on the top, just like so. You don't want to go too heavy, but give each little section some sprinkling. Here, let me give you a closer look. Goes. It's going to be in the oven for 20 to 30 minutes or until slightly brown on the top, like this. I'm just so thrilled on how this bread turned out. Guys, You guys, it is so good. It came out so nice. It's so good. I wanted to make this rosemary bread for so long. Okay, honestly, I'm just eating the top right now, so let's actually check out. Wow, this is really hot. But here, let's see. Look at that. Look at all the holes. Healthy yeast, healthy bread. Okay, let's, cheese. Try it without burning myself here. The inside, the bread part. The bread part is what we want to know. Fluffy, light. Definitely needed more salt. But I think together with the topping, like here, this ideal bite, the salt kind of like transcends. Because I did cover the top like a lot. And the Parmesan helps with the salt. Thank you guys for tuning in to this week's video. If you liked it, then go ahead and hit a thumbs up. That really helped to support me. And leave a comment below about recipes that you'd like to see me make in the future. But other than that, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.